All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to talk about now Patrick Mahomes winning the ESPY for Best NFL Player. So the ESPYs actually are tonight. I believe they're at. What are they at? What's it at? 9 p.m. I think, and it's hosted by. I think Serena Williams is hosting it. But Patrick Mahomes got the award for best NFL player. So yeah, it's tonight. I think 9 p.m. And it'll be on ABC. So I'll try to tape it. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes won best NFL player. Also, Shohei Ohtani won best MLB player. But we'll see what happens next year. I think the season Aaron Judge is having, might have something to say about that. But anyways, that's baseball. Let's get back to football. But anyways, yeah. So Patrick Mahomes, he did not have his best statistical season. He did throw for over 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. And sorry, that's to his stats. 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. In the playoffs, though, I mean, he was flawless. 1,051 passing yards, 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. And that 1 interception was in the Super Bowl. And, look, I mean, the postseason is really what, led to Mahomes getting this award. Because if you want to talk about, other guys like Christian McCaffrey or Lamar Jackson winning the MVP, you also had Christian McCaffrey who had a great year, Tyreek Hill as well. There were other guys that maybe could have been chosen, but ultimately, what did Mahomes do when it mattered most? They got to the playoffs, the Chiefs, and they won yet another Super Bowl. The third one in 5 years, which is unbelievable, and they're looking to three-peat. And I talked about them yesterday. And I talked about them a lot, really. I mean, this receiving core is a lot better than what it was last year with the additions that they made. You got Marquise Brown now, Xavier Worthy, who we've talked about. The Chiefs are better equipped on offense than they were last year. And the NFL should be terrified of that because they won the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and that was the first year without Tyreek Hill. And, there were some people that were saying the Chiefs weren't even going to make the playoffs. Well, they did, and they won yet another Super Bowl. Then last year, the offense was worse, and it didn't matter. They won 11 games, and they still made it to the Super Bowl and won it in overtime. And they're looking to get back to how they were, Mahomes' first few years as the full-time starter for the Chiefs. And that's get those explosive plays back in the offense. And they are going to have that when you add a Marquise Brown and now an Xavier Worthy. And, I talked about his 40-yard dash. Yeah, that could be the new Tyreek Hill for the Chiefs. So the NFL should be terrified of that. Now, in terms of, do I think Mahomes deserved to win this award? I think so. Because, again, ultimately, he won the big game. He won the Super Bowl. And it's not like he had, this awful year. But, he didn't have as good of a year as he's had in years past. He won MVP, in 22. And, of course, the first year he was a starter. When he threw 50 touchdowns. They made it to the AFC Championship game and lost to Tom Brady. But, listen, I mean, they played really well in that. He played really well in that game. Well, really well in the second half. Because I think the Chiefs got shut out in the first half in that game. But, yeah, played really well in the second half. Very easily could have won that game. But, you lost to Tom Brady. I don't think there's anything to be, well, yeah, you got to be upset about it. But, it's Tom Brady. So, but, yeah, he's been unbelievable. And, yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson won MVP, and Lamar Jackson had a very good year. And like I said, Christian McCaffrey had a very good year. But, yeah, I think it really, the other thing, too, is it all depends, I think, on how you interpret these kinds of awards. Because, I mean, for MVP, that was probably the year you give it to someone that isn't a quarterback. But they still gave it to a quarterback. They gave it to Lamar Jackson. So that just goes to show you that it's a QB award. Best NFL player, it's a little different, because it's the ESPYs. But, yeah, I mean, again, I think it's how you interpret it. I mean, I don't think Patrick Mahomes was the best player last year. But, ultimately, he was the best player in the postseason because, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, wins another Super Bowl MVP, and has now his 3rd Super Bowl, in 6 years. It's unbelievable. So I don't think Patrick Mahomes was not the best NFL player overall last year. But, I mean, ultimately he won the Super Bowl. So, and he is the face of the NFL. That's the other thing too. There are plenty of stars in this league, but ultimately Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. When you think of the NFL right now, you think of Patrick Mahomes. Now, a lot of people are not happy about that. They're sick and tired of seeing Mahomes everywhere. Mahomes is here. Mahomes, you know what? Not even just Mahomes. They're just sick of the Chiefs. And that's, what happened with the Patriots. People were sick of, hearing about Tom Brady and, the Patriots making it to the Super Bowl every year. Not winning it every year, but winning pretty much every other year. But, people do forget that Tom Brady did go 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. People do forget about that. So, that's really what it is. It's Chiefs fatigue. But you know what? They're not going anywhere. They brought pretty much everybody back. They're even better on offense, like I said. They're not going anywhere. This quarterback's not going anywhere. Travis Kelce's not going anywhere, so you can hear more about Taylor Swift. Actually, there was a funny clip. So George Kittle was on the Rich Eisen show, and Rich Eisen was asking him, have you ever, talked to Travis about getting, Taylor Swift tickets? And he brought up this story about how, I think it was, whose wedding? Was it Christian McCaffrey's wedding? I think it was McCaffrey's wedding. And where they were in Rhode Island. They were near one of Taylor Swift's houses. And, George Kittle, sent Travis Kelce a text and said, hey, can I use the bathroom? And, where does Taylor hide the keys? And Travis is like, I don't know. I mean, you could try to get in, but, security's going to, get you out of there. So I thought that was funny. But, I just thought I'd bring that up. But, yeah, it's just people are just tired of hearing about the Chiefs. But here's the thing. Whether it's this show here or, the other football shows that we got, the other sports podcasts that we have on the network, or, the national media thing, you are going to continue to hear about the Chiefs. Because as long as they're relevant, you're always going to hear about the Chiefs. They're not going anywhere. They're just not. So you just got to deal with it. And the other thing, too, is, like I said, you got to appreciate the greatness just a little bit. Because, with the Patriots, you just thought you're never going to see that again. Now, again, the Chiefs have, some ways to go before they get to that point because, the Patriots had 2 separate dynasties. I mean, for all we know, Mahomes could win like 5 straight Super Bowls. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. But, it's just, we're kind of seeing it now with the Chiefs. They are dominating this league. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has been in the AFC Championship game every single year that he's been a starter. And, if it wasn't for the Patriots and Tom Brady doing it twice, Mahomes probably has 5 rings. Maybe he, if it wasn't for Joe Burrow and Tom Brady, maybe Mahomes, has won 6 straight Super Bowls. It's crazy. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens this year. I mean, they're trying to go for it again, And they very well can. There are teams that can definitely knock him off, but we're going to have to see it to believe it. So, but back to this, though. Yeah, did Patrick Mahomes have his best year? No. But I'm fine with him getting the award for best NFL player because ultimately the best player ended up winning the Super Bowl. And that was, that's Patrick Mahomes. Other guys, maybe you look at it, Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson. I know Myles Garrett was also in contention as well because he won a Defensive Player of the Year. Although people are upset that TJ Watt didn't win it. But ultimately, Patrick Mahomes gets the award, and listen, I'm fine with it. So let me know what you guys think about that. Does Mahomes deserve this award? And again, the ESPYs are on tonight, so make sure to tune in for it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I'm gonna have to tape it because I'm going to be out. But I think I'm going to make sure to tape it so I can watch it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. So we're going to go to break. And then when we come back, we'll actually talk about Deshaun Watson. We'll talk about what an NFL scout had to say about Deshaun Watson for his upcoming 2024 campaign. We'll get into that when we return from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.